Done. We are recording.
Here it goes.
Give me 1 second. Let me see. So we have I'm just looking at the screen right now. We got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I thought I had 8, but we actually just have 7. So let's get Mr. Renee back on the screen so we can have our 7. So we've got Marvin. Oh, Carlos is not on the. Is Carlos on the screen? I don't see him on my screen, but do you all see him? There he is. Okay. Look at Carlos is dedicated. He's doing a site visit. And he's also. Look at you. Okay. All right.
We're building a baseball field, so we're here.
Okay. Well, you multitask and do what you have to do, but this will meet our requirements for open meetings. So we've got 7 members on the screen. So we'll be good to go. And I'll turn it over to Omar.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Region 14 Upper Rio Grande Flood Planning Group meeting. For the record, today is Wednesday, March 8, 2023, and it is 9:03 a.m. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Item number 2, public comments. Is anybody from the public available to make any comments or wishes to address this group? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 3, review and approve the minutes for the meeting held on February 7, 2023.
Motion to accept.
Second.
So with the first and a second, any further discussion? And just to verify, Carlos was second and you, sir, were first. Okay, Dave.
I'm sorry, Omar, would you mind repeating who was the first and second?
Dave was first and
Okay.
Carlos was second.
Okay, thank you.
So hearing no further comments, all in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, motion passes. Agenda item number 4, discussion and potential action regarding administrative expenses to be submitted to the Texas Water Development Board for reimbursement. Annette, all yours.
Yes, thank you. I did not post the backup documentation for this item, so I will present it at our next meeting that we have scheduled in May.
Sounds good. Agenda item number 5, digital risk infrastructure program presentation.
Yes, so I was hoping that we were going to have Carrie Stevens on the call with us. Carrie, are you on the call by chance? Okay, so
Annette, before we
yes.
get, Annette, isn't our next meeting 12 April?
Yes, I'm sorry. I apologize. April 12th.
Okay.
I'll present that item.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, I knew. I'm sorry. I should have said April, not May. But on this agenda item, what is termed as DRIP, I'll just briefly mention to you all, and if we can get Ms. Stevens here at a later time, that'd be great if you all feel it's necessary. But I don't know how many of you are aware of this program that's being initiated by A&M. I guess just maybe show of hands. Are you all aware of this program? No? Okay, so I'll just quickly discuss it. What they're doing is, it was through one of the Senate bills that was passed last legislative session, where A&M is being tasked with identifying communities that are in need of updated FEMA maps, and they're trying to gather the data to have that available for the consideration. I know I'm not doing, obviously if Ms. Stevens was here, she's one of the leads, so she'd be much more involved with the explanation, but they're working in high-risk communities that are most often underserved in terms of this kind of data, and they're going into these communities and they're looking at ways on how they can provide this information and get more data for those communities. So one example that they're looking, one community that they're looking at working with is going to be Fort Hancock through Judge McKenzie's leadership in Hudspeth County. And what they're envisioning is that come the summer, hopefully through the approach of using promotoras, They'll be going out to the communities, doing door-to-door surveys, obtaining data to provide for that initiative. And so I think that as we're going through this process, we're already at the stage where we're completing, the plan has been completed, but maybe as we move forward, this can be useful information to the flood planning group as well. Or if, as you're working through on your flood management projects, evaluation, things of that sort, if there's any way that this group can assist in that effort, they're the ones who are gathering the data. So we just wanted to inform you of that initiative. And if any of you want this information individually for your community, through your commissioner's court or city council or staff updates, let me know, and I'll get with Ms. Stevens to be able to get in front of you and talk more about this initiative. Are there any questions for me? Okay, then that will be everything for that agenda item, Chairman Martinez.
Okay, let's move on. Agenda item number 6, updates from Richard Bagans from Texas Water Development Board. All yours, Richard.
Thank you, Omar. Hello, everyone. This is Richard Bagans. A few updates. So in the past month, we had a chairs conference call where Omar attended, where all the chairs kind of gave an update on what's going on all the regions across the state. In the next few weeks, sorry, before I say that, recently there's a stakeholder email blast note letting everyone know that our proposed project ranking methods are publicly available for public comment on our website, on our state flood planning website. I believe everyone should have received an email on that. If you didn't, please let me know. For RFPG members, sponsors, and technical consultants, we are looking to hold like a little brief ranking briefing webinar later in March for you all. So keep your eye out for that. That is going on. In later April for sponsors for Rio Grande COG, we are looking to hold a sponsor conference call to just kind of give you guys an update on kind of closing out of contracts amended, starting the next cycle, and budgeting overview. So for Rio Grande COG, just to get you guys updated on that and all the sponsors. Some just general reminders. Amended plan is due in July, and a minimum of a 14-day notice and 7-day meeting materials as a minimum, but recommended, if possible, a little bit longer notice period for that, as it is a complete resubmission of the entire plan. But if you do meet the minimum requirements, you do check the box. Any other updates? We are compiling another March just regional flood planning update or newsletter. So you'll see another email blast with a bunch of other important topics that are coming down the pipeline as well. Does anybody have any specific questions for me right now or anything I can get back to you on?
I just have a question for Gilbert in relation to something that you brought up. Gilbert, is there a requirement for us to approve the feedback on ranking methods is due April 1st before it's submitted?
I don't think there's a requirement in there for that, Dave.
It can be all submitted by individual feedback. There's a Microsoft Forms link where you can type in all of your comments. I do know of one region that is meeting to discuss as a region to submit region feedback, which the consultant will compile from that meeting. But I only know of one region doing that.
Okay, so this is pretty much individual feedback.
Yes.
Okay.
This is Jeff Irvin. I just want to point out that we do have in our plan at this time, we have in Chapter 8, we have some comments that we received from throughout the region about about the prioritization of projects and how they would like um, to basically provide some thoughts for TWDB on that prioritization. So we have some things on there where the group is already, in print saying what they think the prioritization might consider. And so it might be useful to look at those comments in the current plan and then resubmit them if they're not addressed in the current draft of the TWB proposal. And if Annette wants to designate somebody to basically meet with AECOM, we can go over what parts of the plan deal with that and help somebody create comments out of that if you wish.
Remind me the due date, Richard?
The due date for submission comments is April 1st.
Okay, so that's before our next meeting. So I would just say, since we don't have this as an agenda item either, maybe we if anyone individually wants to send me their comments, I can put those together and send that out as a group under comments, or if you wanted to comment directly, or then we can also have that discussion with what Jeff proposed through AECOM. Chairman Martinez, what are your thoughts?
I have to go back and see the content to see if there's any like major pressing issues that we need to revisit, but I think AECOM did a superb job at addressing and compiling and documenting all of the comments we as a region already presented. So I just have to go back and do my homework and see what might we be missing.
And on my end, I'll go back into our ranking team, the people working on ranking, just to make sure that they at least read through and considered all of the legislative, administrative recommendations from all the regions, just to make sure that they did go through that process.
Okay, great.
Real quick, Richard, I have a question. I'm being asked for letters of support from El Paso Water Utilities. They are looking to apply to the fiscal year 2024 community project funding round with Congressman Tony Gonzalez and Congresswoman Veronica Escobar. These are the federal earmarks. And so they require support from different stakeholders. El Paso Water is submitting this application that involves rain gauges throughout El Paso County. And so one policy that we did establish in the water planning group that we don't have for the flood planning group is that at the chairman's discretion in the water planning group, where he was just able to write letters of support and then let the rest of the group know in the following meeting. That gave him the flexibility to be able to address the needs of these projects. So for example, the deadline is March 15th to submit all of these letters, and the funding opportunity was announced like early March. So there's not enough time for us to meet and approve. My question is, are there rules for or against this type of service? And then I'd like to ask the group what their thoughts are. We don't have to make a decision today, but I just want to know, what do you all think?
I am not aware of any flood planning administrative rules that prohibit that. One source that I would point you back to is just recheck your bylaws, the Region 14 bylaws, just to make sure there's nothing restricting you in that. But I'll do a double check, but I don't think there's anything within flood planning prohibiting it.
And so as a lot of the members in this group will probably also submit these types of applications, I'm wondering what you all think on that service.
I don't have any issue with it.
I would be in support of it.
Okay, then if it's okay with you all, I'll just write up those letters and then just show them to you next meeting, and then we can vote on a formal policy at that point if it's okay with you all. But we just need to meet these deadlines.
Sounds like you're missing out on something if you don't meet the deadline.
Yeah, like $1 million.
Yeah,
Per project.
pretty significant, pretty short notice too.
Do you know, Gilbert, if county is applying for something like that? Any flood projects?
I don't know if county is, but I know some of the other municipalities are around the area, like Anthony and all them, so everybody got the
Okay.
word.
Got it.
Yeah, no, Omar, no, the county isn't on this one particularly.
Okay, got it.
I think the only one that obviously we want to, join with El Paso Water on those rain gauges, obviously, as we discussed, but other than that, that's all we have.
Sounds good. Okay. I'll keep you guys updated during the next meeting on what comes around of that. And then I was told that Carrie from agenda item number 5 is back on the call. So if we can revisit agenda item number 5, it's summarized as digital risk infrastructure program presentation. Carrie, if you're available, please let us know.
I don't know what is happening with Carrie, but she only sees Elijah, so we'll try one more time. Carrie, can you hear us? I don't know why she can't get on this call. I'll just let her know and we can bring her back in April. So we won't take any more time on this meeting.
So Carrie
Got it.
Stevens is on our meeting we had from last week, or from February 7th. That's the meeting she logged into.
Okay, well, we need her.
I told her to
we-
use today's meetings link, so
Um,
Carrie Stevens, right?
yeah,
How about Annette, if you can connect it to the right link and then we'll move on in the meantime?
yeah,
And
that's
we'll
fine.
include her later on. Okay, agenda item number 7 then, general regional flood plan updates. ACOM, all yours.
Thank you, Omar. And good morning, everybody. Gilbert Andujo with AECOM here. Joining me from AECOM is also Travis Brand, Jeff Urban, and Alejandra Marco. Today, again, we're going to give you general RFP updates. I know we've got the next slide, Travis. I know we have our next 2 meetings set in stone. I know April 12th at 9 a.m. is our next April meeting. Our May meeting is scheduled for May 9th at 9 a.m. So we're still scheduled to submit our draft by May 26th. Annette, I guess we need to send out a doodle poll again to set up the meeting for June. And again, just to reiterate, our deadline for IFPG to provide comments is June 9th. We're going to post the agenda for approval for this amendment on June 16th. We'll have another general meeting the week of June 19th if we get that one in place there too. And we're requesting the approval on June 29th through the 30th. Just to mention, we've also got some other meetings that Jeff will discuss here and further. We've got another meeting set up with Alpine and looking to set up another meeting with Pecos to go over some of these RFPs that are going to get included as the amendment. So again, the amendment is to TWDB by July 14th. And that's the full regional flood plan again in full submitted to TWDB. Next slide. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to, if nobody has any question, I'll turn it over to Jeff to talk about these FMEs and FMPs we're pursuing.
All right, can you go to the next slide? All right, so this is just going to be a very brief update on these FMEs that we've been assigned to do during this particular phase of the plan. And just wanted to, again, talk about what they are and where we are within each of these FMEs. And again, the purpose of the FMEs is to develop FMPs that can go into the July version of the plan. So there's the Gateway Ponds in the city of El Paso. I'll talk about these in more detail later. There's a project in Vinton for the county. And then there's a project in Pecos, city of Pecos, a project in the city of Alpine. Kermit is no longer being considered for this, so we're going to move on and do work, find a project for the city of Presidio. So let's go on to the next slide. So the Gateway Pond system, what you're seeing on the right is you're seeing a portion of central El Paso that's that's east of the Franklins. And you can see in the middle of that picture, you can see the two gateway ponds, the Gateway West and the Gateway East ponds. And those two ponds, the West Pond is located above the interstate, and the Gateway Pond is located south of the interstate and north of the railroad. And water flows from a large watershed, flows into the Gateway West Pond, and then it's connected from the Gateway West Pond to the East Pond via a 8-foot diameter conduit. And then the Gateway East Pond is drained via the Sabata conduit, which is a gravity-fed conduit. It's not a force main. So the purpose of this particular project, as originally conceived, was to provide a pump station within the Gateway East Pond to lower the pond so that after a flood, you could have your flood pool reestablished so you had space for the next storm whenever it comes along. So we've done the modeling of the watershed to basically see what the flood extents are with the ponds, with the floods coming in, with the ponds empty and with the ponds full. And we're discovering that there's significant potential benefits from adding an additional conduit between the two ponds so that water can drain out of the West Pond faster. And we're also finding that creating a force main to the river from the East Pond is also likely to be a significant improvement and reduce damages substantially also. So we're altering the original concept of the original project as it was defined in the master plan somewhat. So we're on our way with that particular project. Anybody have any questions on that? On to the next one. So the next one is a project for the county, which is to basically put in a couple of debris basins upstream of the city of Vinton. And we've done a lot of work on this particular FME to create a definable project that can be included as an FMP in the plan. And I'm going to turn it over briefly to Sabine from our work team, who's going to basically show you some of the existing and future flooding with and without this project. Sabine, can you take control?
Yeah, let me share my screen. Yes, see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, but we can't hear you, Sabine. Can you turn up your mic?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay, so this is the Vinton area, and I did modeling for existing and proposed condition, which means with the basin and without basin, and also there is a one diversion channel. Let me turn on the basin. So these are the two basins that we are proposing. And now we can see the results, like 500-year existing condition. The flood is.
Let's show them the 10-year existing and the 100-year existing, and then the proposed 100-year. Let's just do those.
Okay. Yeah, let's look at the existing 100-year storm event and the flood extent. So this is the existing 100-year.
No, it's a 10-year. You click the 10-year.
Sorry, it's a 10-year.
Sabine,
and
we're not able to see your screen at this point. Is everybody else is able to?
Can everybody see this?
Yes.
I can see the screen.
We can see it.
Okay.
Can you see it, Omar?
No.
I can see it.
You know what? Minimize your teams and then make it big again because it takes a while. I mean, sometimes it goes to a black screen.
Yeah, we're still not able to see it.
Can everybody else see it?
Is this the same chart that's on the task 12 page that's on the handout?
I can
No,
see
this is a map I was going to include as after the meeting that we were going to present with the.
Okay.
So who can't see it? Can the county not see it?
We can see it on my screen, yes.
Can I screenshot and send in chat?
I think just let's wait and see. Dave, can you tell us when you see it? Can you see it yet?
No, not yet.
And
Yeah, no, it's not loading at all.
We probably aren't going to be able to see it.
all right, we're going to go because the county can see it and it's their project. Can we show these 4 maps and we'll include them in the meeting minutes after we're done?
That's fine.
But what it's basically showing is on the 10-year flood, there's substantial flooding within the city of Vinton. It's significant amount of damage even at the 10-year level. Can you click on the 100-year level now, Sabine?
Look at the chat, guys. I'm putting screen captures in there so you can at least get a visual.
There's something down there. There you go.
Oh wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
So can you go back to the 10-year, Sabine?
Sure.
Can they see the 10-year?
Hold on. I just sent them the 10-year, Jeff. I'm sending them the 100-year.
Okay.
You got both of them there now, guys. The first one's the 10-year, the second one's the 100-year. And look at your chat.
Yeah, we already saw the 10-year. We're just waiting for the 100-year to load.
Oh, that was the 100-year?
No, this is the 10-year,
That's 10-year? Wow.
which is still pretty significant.
Yeah.
And then go into the 100-year. Okay, so the basins are identified as a project to address this particular flooding, and then can you just show what happens when you put in show the area that's being addressed by the future diversion. Sabine, can you circle that area?
Yes. So that is right here, the diversion channel.
So the diversion channel is and click on the 100-year risk where you're doing that. The diversion channel is taking care of the water that goes through the north there. All right, so now go with the proposed solution. So this is what happens when you stick in the debris basins and the diversion. So you have obviously much reduced flooding. The reason there's some flooding at all is because there's a watershed downstream of the 2 basins that has enough flow in it to cause some issues, but obviously not the issues associated with the full watershed. Any questions on?
Yeah, if those are dams upstream, those Basin A and Basin B, are they going to have a requirement for sustained evacuation of backfill of flood debris backfill so that they continue to maintain their storage capacity?
So there's a sediment pool that's being built into that, built into the design that's based upon the El Paso Drainage Design Manual. And that sediment pool would be the part that would be maintained, but that's really obviously up to the county on what maintenance schedule they decide. But the benefits are going to assume that the sediment pool is available for the flood.
Okay, so we need to make sure that the county is informed that they're gonna have to set aside funds for that so that it can be maintained. Otherwise, that thing eventually goes away.
Right.
Okay, all right.
So on to the next,
Hey, Jeff,
yeah,
sorry, I just had a question for you on, I know that this is a pretty, I guess, expensive project. Is there a, I just wanted to know if it's possible to if can they, you know, if funds are not available and or limited, can they act like individually, like where, you know, if at least one could be, you know, funded, you know, because if we don't, if the funding is not available for both of them, you think it would work where we could have only just like them be funded individually, like just one?
so individually, they aren't going to address the 100-year flood.
Right.
So we can clearly figure out what the benefits are of each one, right? And we could have the costs be separate. It's just it would not meet the requirement to have of addressing the 100-year flood. It would address some flood of a lesser magnitude, but in terms of funding from a wide variety of sources, you're right. Either one of these basins would be an improvement over not having either one, right?
Right, right. I guess
So
that's what I was getting at. I was just looking
Yeah.
at like, well, if one is better than nothing, I guess, or obviously both is the ideal, but
Right,
I don't know if we would
So-
have that situation where we'd rather just have one rather than none.
right. But I think for the FMP that we're going to put into the plan, we're going to put them together, and you can take them and split them apart and go after whatever funding source you think is available, and use the information that's developed for the plan for your own purposes. But I think the one project that's going in the plan is going to contain the two of them, unless
Okay.
somebody gives us different directions. Because that's the one that addresses those two together is what addresses the 100-year.
Right. Okay.
I think Javier has a question. Javier?
Hey Jeff, I was curious about how this compared to the flood maps, or if this is even mapped at all with the FEMA flood maps.
They're mapped.
You know, I don't have the answer to that off the top of my head, but we can research that.
Yeah, the reason I'm
Should
asking is
significantly change it.
if they have to deal with flood insurance and being in the map zone and all that, and possibly doing a HOMAR in the future.
Yep.
Thanks, Jeff.
It's not close though in this case. I mean, there obviously are significant risks here, so there will certainly be major improvements in flood insurance areas that have to be covered by flood insurance with this project. Let's go on to the next project. Can you take it back, Travis?
Yes, hold on.
So this is the city of Alpine.
Pecos.
Should be Pecos.
It's Pecos.
I'm sorry, city of Pecos. They look so the city of Pecos, we haven't yet started on the major portion of this particular part of the this task that we have. We're kind of doing them in series, and this one is going to follow the work that we're doing for Alpine. But we've gotten started by basically sending out a request for a meeting with the city of Pecos, and we will get a substantial part of this one done by the April 12th meeting. So we'll have more to talk about by that time. Let's go on to the next one. City of Alpine. So the City of Alpine is an interesting, we've done a lot of preparatory work with the City of Alpine. Let me see if I can take control here. And this is another figure that we will include in the notes that go with this particular meeting. This wasn't in the original packet, but we had a talk with the City of Alpine on the 27th of November last year, and we had a talk with Jeff Bennett from the Regional Flood Planning Group and his compatriot at the NRCS in Marfa. And we've basically talked with them about where there are flood issues or flood mapping issues in the city that we should be considering as part of this particular effort that we're doing. And you can see on here in red where the City of Alpine has recollections of significant flooding type issues. And then in green, we have additional areas that were discussed with Jeff Bennett, who lives in Alpine, and the NRCS that has Alpine within their purview also. So we have a general idea of where the problems are. And then we also have done a study of the gauges that are in and around Alpine. Let me go back to the map again. So let me go to the FEMA map. So this is the map of the flooding in the City of Alpine, and you can see in the dark blue, you can see where the fathom mapping that was sponsored by the Texas Water Development Board shows the flooding through the 100-year flooding through the 1% annual flooding through the City of Alpine's located. And you can see in the hard dashed red lines the boundary of what the current FEMA floodplain shows in the City of Alpine. And you can see that in general, there's agreement between surprisingly, between what the FEMA floodplain that was done in 1990 and the fathom mapping that was done within the last couple of years, the flood extents. What's particularly important for the City of Alpine is that the fathom modeling, which is a 2D modeling as opposed to a 1D modeling, is showing water overtopping the railroad here and going into a large part of the City of Alpine in the 100-year flood. And it's also, so this whole area here was identified by the fathom mapping, but is not included in the FEMA mapping. There's a railroad that cuts through north to south. There's also a railroad, the Amtrak one, that cuts from east to west. And you can see that railroad is basically controlling a lot of the flooding, and that you have flooding that goes from one creek over into other creeks, and it braids right across the City of Alpine itself. So it would be, given what's being shown by the modeling, the question is whether that flooding is real, that the modeling's stating, right? And a lot of times in arid watersheds, the amount of flooding that's predicted by the models can differentiate substantially from what actually happens in reality. So in the discussions in the two meetings we already had, there doesn't appear to be they don't seem to have experienced anything of this magnitude within the City of Alpine, at least in recent times. And so it becomes important with the City of Alpine to look at the historical data and see if there's been storms within the recent past, which per the modeling would have caused major flooding, but which didn't. If that's the case, then we can adjust the models and develop a project that more fits the needs of the city, and may be more practical for actual and more defensible as an expense to basically protect the city. So we've done a study of the rainfall to see if we can identify events that should have caused flooding within the city and didn't, and then we can back out and come up with a more reasonable risk map for the city. Anybody have any questions with that brief discussion? All right. So if we look at what's happened within at the gauge in Alpine, and there's only a daily gauge, a gauge in Alpine that actually measures the depth for a day-long period, as opposed to one that measures rainfall hourly. At that one gauge, there has been in 2005 an event that's somewhere between very close to the 50-year flood. In 2007, there was one that was also very close to the 50-year flood. And in last year, in August, there appears to have been one that would have been equal to roughly the 100-year rainfall in the city of Alpine. So we're having a meeting with the city of Alpine next on the 13th. On the 13th at 10 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Mountain, where we're going to go over these events and their experience in the events, and to try to differentiate what the mapped risk is versus the real risk. And out of that discussion, we expect to have a decision from Alpine on which watershed they want to address and which of the different flood risk areas that they want us to develop a project for. We'll also provide them at that meeting some ideas on how to address the flooding in the different watersheds, and they will give us some guidance on what type of flood mitigation measures they want us to consider. So we should have a pretty well-developed FMP with the city of Alpine by the April 12th meeting. Can you go back to the can you take it back now, Travis? Okay, Kermit, like I said, we're not going to address Kermit because they haven't shown any response to wanting us to address this as part of the plan. And so we're going to be starting out, beginning work on Presidio, and should be fairly far along on Presidio by the 12th of next month, at least be able to decide which of the watersheds they want us to address. And that's the status of our FMPs that we're developing under this particular phase of the plan. Does anybody have any questions on those? If not, it's back to you, Gilbert.
Thank you, Jeff. No, that's our presentation for now. I don't know if you all have any other questions for us at the time. If not, we'll go ahead and turn it back over to you, Omar. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Do you have the agenda real quick?
Oh yeah, I'll put the
This next meeting's in there already.
So one quick question: Does anybody from the regional flood planning group want to attend the meeting with the city of Alpine on the 13th? Jeff Bennett will be there. I know Annette, you were invited. I don't know if anybody else
Yes.
won.
we'll have we'll have Peggy O'Brien from our agency out of Marfa. She'll be attending the meeting.
Okay, all right.
And Jeff, it is going to be a virtual meeting.
Yes,
So I think what we could do is we can, if you can get me the agenda, I can have that available to send out in case anybody wants to join in virtually and just listen in, if that's okay.
sure.
Okay.
I think I sent you the agenda yesterday.
Okay. All right. Then I'll forward that out to the group then. And then Chairman Martinez, I'm sorry, everyone. There was obviously an issue that was exposed through this initiative. I did fix it on the website as we were having the meeting in case somebody else was trying to get on, but the link that was provided on the agenda had the February link, not this one. So that's why Dr. Stevens couldn't get on to the meeting. So if it's okay, just because she is here with us, and I think that again, there's going to be potential for further engagement. If we can just give a few more minutes to Dr. Stevens.
Sure thing. So we move on to agenda item number 5 again. Is that what you're asking?
Yes. And
Okay.
Dr. Stevens, did we get this right this time? Oh my gosh, she's still.
Is she on the phone now or?
Okay, Andrew's gonna
Right, so Dr. Stevens, Carrie has another meeting scheduled at 10:45, so she
Okay.
has asked earlier to reschedule just because she couldn't.
Okay.
So
Okay.
she asked me to like attend this meeting on her behalf to hear about what y'all are doing, but yeah, she'll have to reschedule her presentation. Sorry.
Okay, and if it's okay with everyone, I know everyone's busy, but I think it's just really great information to complement the work that's being done. So we'll have Dr. Stevens present at the April meeting and give her just a few minutes. If that's okay with you, Chairman Martinez.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So agenda item number 9, next potential general planning meeting date. We have already set the dates. The 12th of April, 9th of May, and then 2 in June. So did you need anything else, AECOM, with this?
We do have the ones in June set up, or we don't? Those are the ones we need to set a doodle poll out for, right?
Yeah, we need to set those out.
Okay.
Yeah, there are no dates in June yet from.
Yeah,
Okay.
that and just make sure everybody's available either June 29th or the 30th. So we can get the final approval from the RFPG for us to submit.
Okay. I'll get on that today to send out.
That won't be available the end of June. Car show, 29 through 1 July. That's awesome. In La Crosse, Wisconsin.
All right.
AECOM, do you want? Well, we'll just get into it. I'm just thinking that maybe if we're looking at the calendar, would you want to consider maybe having it ready the week before, or you need up to that time? Because we can look at the 19th through the 23rd of June, but if you need that week to finish up to schedule the last week of June.
I think the reason we set it up that way is because we're going to discuss the comments you all had, and that would give us enough time to address those comments, or we can do it like we've done in the past. Hey, allow us to address the comments that we are at the time and allow us to submit the plan at the same time. Either way, whatever works for the group, we can do it that way.
Chair Matthias, what are your thoughts?
To you all, whatever works best. I have no particular thoughts.
Okay. All right. Okay. So then, yeah, we'll get it figured out then. I'll send out a poll. Thank you.
Thank you,
So
Annette.
she's got a doodle poll to 2 June meetings. Okay.
Yeah.
Like an El Paso, Rio Grande flood planning.
Okay. So then we're done with this agenda item. Agenda item number 10. Before I make a motion to adjourn, anything else you all want to bring up?
I'd like Travis and Gilbert and Sabine to stay on after everybody else goes off real quick.
Okay.
Okay. Then at this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. That's
I'll
Dave.
second.
And Levi
Levi,
second.
Ryan second.
All right.
Second.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Appreciate
Thank
it. Thank you.
So AECOM needs to produce